Welcome everyone to another international relations capsule for the Shankar IAS Academy. Today, we discuss the situation in Afghanistan following the sudden withdrawal of American forces from that country. President Biden had announced that by 9/11, that is September 11th, American troops would be out of Afghanistan. But he has done this quite unexpectedly in July itself, which has caused consternation all around the world. And nobody is aware of any transition arrangements being made. They left the air base and also released 5,000 Taliban forces who might just take over the air base and take over the country. They are already claiming that they occupy about 85% of the Afghan land, and we do not know how much control the present Afghan government has in the country. We already know that fighting is taking place in Kandahar area, and the Indian consulate has already been evacuated. So the situation is very grave because the arrangements that were discussed over the years had not been completed, and we do not know what the details are, whether there is any understanding which would enable the government to run the country for some time, or whether the Taliban will just take over the country all of a sudden. The American withdrawal was almost similar to what happened in Vietnam or later what happened in Iraq, because they left declaring victory for themselves while they had no victory of any kind. And various kinds of arrangements were made, but most of them did not work very well. So now what has happened is exactly what happened to Soviet Union earlier. In 1979, the Soviet troops went into Afghanistan because the problems within Afghanistan were spilling over to the rest of the world. And countries like India felt even at that time that the Soviet intervention was helpful in establishing peace in that country. But at the same time, the Soviet Union faced grave international criticism. Of course, since they were a permanent member, no sanctions were imposed. But many resolutions were passed criticizing the Soviet Union and asking the Soviet Union to leave Afghanistan. And in order to force the Soviet troops to withdraw from Afghanistan, the Americans started supporting the extremists, the Taliban, and various other groups. So finally, Soviet Union left exactly like the United States left this time. But they had left behind a kind of a informal government or an interim government under Najibullah. And he carried on for some more time. And the Soviet Union supported the local government and therefore was able to maintain some law and order without the Taliban taking over. But that situation also collapsed when Soviet Union itself disappeared. In 1992, Soviet influence was totally out of Afghanistan. And what followed was not what the Americans had expected. Taliban became very strong, and the Americans did not care about what happened there. But after the US had driven the Soviet Union out and armed the Mujahideen, the US gave no attention to Afghanistan till the bombings of 9/11. And when they realized that the source of that bombing in 2001 came from Afghanistan, they declared a war on terror, and the Taliban government was removed. But the US bogged down in an endless war for 20 years, at great cost to itself and its allies. The US realized soon enough that precious American lives should not be wasted on Afghanistan, and successive presidents planned various exit strategies after having maintained an Afghan government which was being undermined by the Taliban. So though the United States succeeded in ousting Taliban, they could not maintain a stable government in Afghanistan because of the constant threats, the battles, and so on, and many years it continued. So finally, the United States government decided at the time of Obama and later confirmed during the presidency of President Trump and later under Biden that under no circumstances will they continue in Afghanistan. So very costly, what is called an unending war, and they will simply move out. But then there are many discussions took place, long months of negotiations involving the United Nations, the big powers, regional countries and others, but they were not negotiating from a position of strength, as the Taliban knew that victory was at hand for it and that it would be a matter of time before they would get the upper hand. President Biden finally set the deadline of September 11, but the US quietly handed over the Bagram air base to the Afghan government in July itself, knowing well that Taliban will inherit the booty left behind by the Americans. Within no time, Taliban has captured 13 districts in the periphery of Kabul, and more will fall into their hands in the next few days. Taliban has already announced Taliban has also already announced that they are already under occupation of 85% of Afghan territory. The American withdrawal was reminiscent of Vietnam and Iraq, where the US did not have any alibi to make their action honorable or victorious. So they say that the fight against terror has ended, and now the responsibility of taking care of Afghanistan is Afghanistan itself, knowing fully well it will not be a very smooth transition. The cost of the war was humongous for all. For the US, the cost was US dollars 980 billion, then 2,400 US lives, and 1,144 allied countries' lives lost in Afghanistan. 50,000 Afghan civilians and 7,000 security forces lost their lives in Afghanistan itself. The US spent US dollars 143 billion in reconstruction and spent US dollars 90 billion to maintain the Afghan army. So all these great investments in terms of money and in terms of life were all a waste as far as Afghanistan is concerned. It will soon be clear that these investments have been futile, as the land will be devastated again by the Taliban. It seems in the terms of the settlement, there are some elements like ceasefire, severing of links with Al-Qaeda, intra-Afghan peace talks, and others will be things of the past. But the 5,000 Taliban forces set free by the US forces would add to the fighting forces of the Taliban. To prevent such a catastrophe, the United States should have made a strategy to keep the Afghan government in power as long as possible to prevent a rapid takeover by the Taliban. The details of such a strategy, including substantial financial assistance, should be announced to let it be known that the dreams of Taliban and their masters, Pakistan, that Afghanistan will not fall into their laps in a hurry. This was what Soviet Union had done when they left. it should be remembered that even after the Soviet forces were withdrawn from Afghanistan, the Najibullah government remained in control with Soviet assistance. The Taliban takeover took place only after the Soviet Union collapsed. Even in Vietnam, some arrangements were made to make the transition less tumultuous. Many Western strategists now believe that the US has a responsibility to support the democratic forces in Afghanistan. Recently, President Biden invited President Ghani and his colleagues to the White House, and they were received by the president and the congressional colleagues, gave some hope in this regard. We thought something was being arranged. But Western intelligence is predicting that the present government will fall to the Taliban in a year at the most. Maybe it will be much faster. Without US financial support, it may fall even before, leaving the country to the mercy of Taliban and other extremists. China is waiting in the wings to enter Afghanistan in a big way for reconstruction in exchange for Islamic elements closing their eyes to Chinese repression of Islamic minorities in China. The Chinese intervention in Afghanistan is going to be another danger to peace in Afghanistan, and it might lead to the domination of domination by China in the whole region. Will the fate of the Chinese be the same as those of the former Soviet Union and the United States? We don't know. But the Taliban has said that they'll turn to China for subsistence and take support from them, and perhaps the whole thing will be covered in the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese, and they will start rebuilding the country. Well, that leaves India in a very difficult situation. We were hoping that negotiations between the Taliban and the Americans and others will lead to some kind of a temporary arrangement, and then only the Americans will leave. We also thought probably some Americans will stay in order to keep the peace. But we were not a party to any of these negotiations, and we have also made considerable investments in Afghanistan for reconstruction and development. When the Taliban government was in power, our experience of the Taliban government was a nightmare. And so we were hoping that some US presence would prevent a collapse. The US had made an effort towards the last minute to involve India in the Afghan talks, but did not work out because of Pakistan. In a desperate attempt to find a solution, and now that the Taliban takeover is imminent, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar visited Iran and Russia to hold consultations on Afghanistan. In Moscow, he expressed concern over the developments in Afghanistan. And the interesting thing that he said was the consensus of 1990s about Afghanistan among Soviet Union, Iran, and India still remain valid. But no indication of a joint action of Iran, Russia, and India is in the offing. We really have no idea what the outcome of the External Affairs Minister's visit was. He also strangely visited Georgia after his visit to Moscow, which could be a sore point because Georgia is trying to join the European Union. And Indian foreign minister's visit at this point in time may have given a negative signal to Russia. This we do not know what exactly was the objective. It was said that this was planned earlier and some cultural mementos were to be returned to Georgia, and he used the occasion of his transit to do so. But some reporters are saying that this was a gentle hint to Russia that we also have options in their region. Interesting thing was India had open discussions with Taliban also in recent months, though we never publicly admitted it. The foreign minister was in Doha twice when the Taliban leadership was there. When he went to Moscow, Taliban leadership was there. There are rumors of our national security advisor meeting his Pakistani counterpart on this issue. So much of toing and froing took place. But this was all in the hope that there would be a composite government in Kabul. It does not appear that this has happened, and therefore we have no option but to wait and see what happens in Kabul. Of course, we will not be involved militarily in Afghanistan, there is no question, but we are very keenly interested to see that a people's government of Afghanistan, a non-aligned government of Afghanistan, a culturally rich Afghanistan, an Afghanistan which is friendly to its neighbors, will develop sooner or later. But the signs now are that Pakistan is feeling victorious, and India faces the prospect of enhanced involvement of terrorists in Kashmir with the support of Taliban. Even though Taliban has assured the United States to even though the Taliban had assured the United States to keep away from Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda's involvement itself cannot be ruled out. And everything else, a China-Pakistan nexus to destabilize Kashmir is very much a possibility. The attack on a dam built with the Indian assistance just before the Americans left was a bad omen. So this is possible that all these facilities we built for the Afghan people may either be destroyed or taken over by the Taliban. It's again hope against hope that we are thinking that some situation may emerge, but 2 or 3 days after the Americans have left, there is no such hope. India, someone wrote, is walking on a tight rope in Afghanistan, but there is no tight rope to walk on. We seem to be in the middle of a turmoil, which we are in no position to control. So the turmoil in Afghanistan is extremely significant for India's geopolitical future. Already the situation on Ladakh or the Chinese border is tense, and there is no sign of disengagement by the Chinese forces. The conversations are not even taking place. All the arrangements that we had made for peace on the line of actual control have been completely shattered. So that is one side of the story. On the other side, Pakistan is collaborating with China in order to create more problems in Jammu and Kashmir so that Article 370 can be restored. There have been some conversations between the Kashmiri leaders, as we discussed earlier, but Mahbooba Mufti has also been suggesting that India should speak also to Pakistan. Her logic was that if we can speak to Taliban, why is it that we are not speaking to Pakistan? But all of you know that is a different story, because we have pledged that we will not speak to Pakistan unless terrorism ends. In the case of Taliban, there is no such condition, and therefore we can speak. But Mahbooba Mufti's point was that we should speak to Pakistan also and try to work out something. Of course, her mind, it might be something to do with Kashmir, which is not an easy thing to do. So India is in a real dilemma. And I'm sure our strategists and thinkers are planning various measures. Of course, the United States will try to help us to the extent possible. But a similar help, I do not know whether we can expect either from Iran or from Moscow. But then diplomacy is all about possibilities of making peace or making deals so that there are mutual arrangements. But Taliban is not that kind of a force which will be susceptible to so much of understanding. They may be in a hurry to take over. And when they do take over, they do very many things would be in the interest of the people of Afghanistan. So that is on the one side, total instability in Afghanistan. Then terrorists coming into Jammu and Kashmir. China and Pakistan engaged in some kind of a joint action against India. All these are on the horizon. And the only hope we can have is that things will settle down. Afghanistan will have a government of a compromised government, and that government will be able to bring about some stability and some good relations with India. But the past history shows that these are not likely. And therefore, we just have to wait and see. Of course, in addition to all the diplomatic efforts our leaders are making, we have to see what Afghanistan ends up with. At the moment is a gloomy picture, but like in everything else, we need to keep our optimism. Thank you very much. This is totally pretension. Because why did they, in the first place, go into Afghanistan? To end terror. Has terror ended? Has Pakistan cooperated with them to end terrorism in Afghanistan? Instead, what's happened was Taliban was fighting against American forces and still continuing. So for them to say that we have finished our job and we are leaving is absolute hypocrisy. But then who is going to ask the Americans? It is their policy. We told them repeatedly that it would be useful for some American presence in Afghanistan, because having chased Soviet Union out, you remember, we were supportive of Soviet Union's not military intervention, but at least the effort to bring some peace and stability to Afghanistan. So we were questioned by the entire international community why Mrs. Gandhi took that position. But whatever it is, the Americans at least should have made sure that Taliban is decimated or at least controlled by some agreement so that they don't run wild. But we can understand the American position. Why should they lose American lives? Why should they lose American money? So any president would like to get out of there. But eventually what they are going to leave behind, will that hurt American interests by the Chinese occupying Afghanistan and others? And then won't they have to launch a bigger operation to get the Chinese out of that region? So they are invited trouble for themselves in this, but then each nation acts in its own national interest. What is in the interest of Pakistan? Interest of Pakistan is to have a puppet government in Afghanistan. They do not want a regular formal government. Durand Line, etc., these are issues which are not in question at this moment. The moment issue is who is going to control Kabul. Is it Taliban and China? Certainly, Pakistan will be quite happy because they know how to deal with China. But all these differences of opinion are being voiced in this process of complete confusion about communications. So we need not take these things at their face value. There may be differences always. They would like Pakistan itself to run Afghanistan rather than the Taliban. So somewhere they have to strike a balance. But their common enmity towards India will be a factor. And our getting close to the United States through Quad, etc., will be another factor. So we are on the wrong side of the situation as far as they are concerned. We have very little choice. We have made these initiatives with Iran and Russia and India, these three countries together, which may be a bit of a balance. But that the Americans may not be very excited over that. And Soviets, the Russians also, I do not see them taking any side other than that of the Chinese. So it is tough. Well, this is the game, no? Nobody plays. Anything is fair in love and war, they say. So this is war. So they'll play all kinds of games. It depends on who has the upper hand and who has the advantages. As far as Iran is concerned, they will not jump to this in a big way. They have an interest in Afghanistan because of their oil trade and various other economic activities. But they are lying low because immediate concern for them is the agreement with the Americans. So they will not say anything against Americans at this point because the Vienna Agreement is still being discussed. So that is why we did not hear anything from Iran, even after the foreign minister went to Tehran. We did not hear any joint statement between them, except that, loyalty, friendship, etc. And he was received very well. And he carried a message from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We talked about the old consensus of 90s when we all worked together in order to support a government in Afghanistan. So all these were there. But what is the action they are likely to take? And they have not decided it themselves, obviously. But then they are generally in supportive of terrorist groups. Your kind of terrorists. I mean, there are terrorists and terrorists. So if you are a favorable terrorist, they will support them. Or that they have no qualms about that. So Iran has interests, but at the moment they are lying low. And if India is able to work out something between Iran, Russia and India, that will be wonderful. But that option does not seem to be there in the present situation. Yes, because the American negotiator has not said a word. He should have announced that these are the things we have agreed upon. Please make sure that the Taliban and others honor it. But as I said earlier, the indication given to Ghani, inviting him to Washington and making some noises about the good things that he has done, was a good indication. But that may also be for the sake of form. And interesting thing is, you must have seen what Karzai had to say. Karzai said there were no terrorists in Afghanistan. How can he say that? Because he ran the country for some time. But whatever else may be the factors, what Taliban will do, it will do, and Pakistan will support it. And the agreement, suppose the agreement was reached and publicly announced, and these are the terms of their departure, then it would have been different. Here they were running away, like they ran away from Vietnam and also ran away from Iraq. But at least in those places, the Americans left behind something to run the country. Even in Saigon, they had something. But Iraq also, they had a supportive group for them. But here they have not even done that. They have not installed anybody, even a puppet government they have not installed. That is the pity of it. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.